receive ng mga yun, siya magbabayad.
Hindi totoo yun.
The community, the homeownerization, that will request for financing from CHAPSI. CHAPSI will provide the homeownerization. Sila lang magpapatupad. Pero under the supervision of
Okay. Madam Senator, Mr. President, another important distinction between the work done by NHA and CHAPSI ay in terms of sino yung nagde-determine nung magiging beneficiaries or participants sa program. Sa NHA, it is the agency itself. Samantala sa CHAPSI, bagamat under the supervision of the corporation, yung mga homeowners association, yung mga beneficiaries or mga participants mismo ay nagdedesisyon. And they proceed to implement that housing project, albeit under the supervision of the CHAPSI.
I don't think so. You know, the reason why I'm asking, kasi ang aking, I'm cleaning the river, I'm relocating ISF along the river. So I really coordinate with NHA and CHAPSI para sa relocation site ng mga ISF. Kasi supposed to be, meron ng NHA sa what you call, Naik, Cavite. Tapos merong CHAPSI dito sa Bacoor, Cavite. So ako, since marami akong nire-relocate, I'm asking the NHA for houses for yung mga nire-relocate ko. And then, nadinig ko na meron din CHAPSI na nagre-relocate dito sa Bacoor, Cavite. So I asked them. Kaya, tinatanong ko, ano ba difference nila? Or pareho ba sila? Hindi totoo na yung CHAPSI takes care of the financing only. Kasi alam ko, nung magtanong ako sa kanila, meron daw silang contractor. Tapos, meron daw silang beneficiary na community na may kapartner silang NGO. So gusto kong mag-avail. So, hinanap ko yung NGO. Kasi yun daw ang kausap ng contractor kung sino lilipat doon sa mga bahay. Nung hanapin ko yung NGO, sabi, yung NGO daw ay isang, what you call this,
Community mobilizer, Madam Senator.
ang NGO daw ay isang religious organization na may NGO. So hinanap ko, sabi nila hindi daw taga Bacoor, yun daw may base sa Isabela. So hinanap ko sa Isabela. Sabi nun Isabela, wala daw doon eh. So ang namamahala doon sa CHAPSI is the contractor na kumukuha sila ng fake na NGO. Kaya hindi kami namin makausap kung saan kami, sino tutulong sa amin para makapaglipat kami ng informal settler. Tapos nung mag-hearing dito, sinasabi nila, I think it's the budget last time.
Yes, Madam
Sabi nila, sila daw ay yung project daw nila, kinrate nila para lipatan ng mga ISF sa along the river sa Metro Manila para mawala yung mga ISF along the river para luminis yung mga river natin. Kami nga naglilinis ng river, so hinahanap namin kung paano sila makakatulong sa amin. Kami katabi ng Bacoor, Las Piñas, at ang nire-relocate ko din, part din ng Bacoor. But we were never given any allocation dun sa sinasabi nila ng CHAPSI na project nila sa Bacoor, Cavite. So,
Mr. President, yes.
kaya tinatanong ko kasi this year, kasi nga nag-hearing last year, siguro nadinig niya yung sinasabi ko that they were not able to help us. Sinabi niya sa akin na next time daw tutulong. Tumawag sa akin this year na tutulong daw sila. Siyempre, tinanong ko kung magkano ba yung bahay. Kasi siyempre, yung mga ISF, gusto lang nila murang bahay, then they cannot afford an expensive house. 900,000 ang package. Dun sa NHA, sa Naik, ang package is walang down payment, 300 a month. Oh, dito, dahil 900,000 ang package, ang down payment 250,000, ang hulog 2,500 or 2,700 a month. Paano naman yun ma-afford ng ISF?
That's
Oh.
right, Madam Senator.
So, kaya kita tinatanong, what is the difference between the project of NFA, NHA, and SAPSI? Kaya kita tinatanong kasi nako-confuse ako kasi kung tutulungan kami ng SAPSI sa ire-relocate naming ISF, kaya ba hindi kaya ng ISF yung 900,000 package at ang down payment 250,000, 30% eh.
Yes.
Basta 250,000 tapos ang installment 2,500 a month. Samantalang doon sa NHA, walang down, 300 a month ang installment. So, parang tinatanong ko ngayon, ano ba itong SHAPSI? Ba't tinawag na Social Housing Finance Corporation? Yung
Yes.
900,000 a month, it's not social housing.
Mm-mm.
Oh,
Mr.
kasi ang
President.
social housing, alam ko, it should be below 500,000. Kasi pang mahirap to eh. Oh. Tapos
Yes, Mr.
sabi nila, hindi, may nabili din sa amin, may kapartner kami na NGO at saka community. Hinahanap ko nga yung NGO yung kapartner, hindi ko mahanap eh.
Mm-mm.
Kaya tinatanong ko ngayon, ano ba yung ginagawa nila? Ano ba difference nila sa NHA? At kasi ina-advertise nila that they are doing this project para tulungan yung mga ISF along the river para malinis natin yung river ng Metro Manila. Pero kami yun eh. And yet, I haven't found anything that I can work with them. Oo. Kaya tinatanong kita, ano ba difference ng project ng NHA at SHAPSI? Para
Yes, Mr.
maintindihan
President.
naman namin. Oo.
Nga po. And Mr. President, in fairness to the gentle lady from Las Piñas, she has, habang ninanarrate po nga nila yung situation doon, naalala ko na tinanong na rin nila ito dati. So
Yeah.
the gentle lady from Las Piñas has been faithfully following up these issues and trying to clarify them. And it's the hope of this representation na ngayon sa pag-sponsor ko sa huling budget ng DSUD sa current Congress, na once and for all, mailinaw na rin, not just to the gentle lady from Las Piñas, pero yung kanilang constituents doon and all over the country. So, just before I ask again the good secretary to give a final clarification on these issues, for the record, Mr. President, yung beneficiary community po ang pumipili ng contractor. Then, ang NGO ay tumutulong sa community para makapagdesisyon sila collectively kung saan lilipat, kung sino ang contractor na iyon, at kung magkano. Important point raised by the
Totoo yun.
gentle lady from Las Piñas, magkano ang uutangin. So tama
Hindi
po,
totoo
both
yun. Kung,
agencies ay may
kung sinasabi mo na poor communities, they cannot afford to pay 250,000 down payment and 2,500 a month. I have relocated so many communities. I have done community mortgage in Las Piñas. This is my favorite project. I
Yes,
have been cleaning the river, so I have relocated thousands of ISF from Las Piñas, Bacoor, and Parañaque because our rivers are interconnected. And
Yes,
and I'm the only one who's interested to do this project. And I'm telling you, it's not true what they're saying. It's
Mr.
not
President,
true.
yes, Mr. President, I will ask the good secretary now that this representation would really like to give a satisfactory answer to the gentle lady from Las Piñas. So, ano po ba yun?
Because I have been doing this for years. And I have always worked with NHA. I haven't worked with SHAPSI because we cannot afford yung SHAPSI. So I'm asking you if yung Social Housing Finance Corporation is really doing work to help the poor communities to have houses. Fake nga yung NGO eh. Hinahanap ko eh. Hinahanap ko yung NGO, fake eh. You know, why will I say something that I did not do? Diba? Maybe I can just suggest something. I think Bacoor is too expensive for the poor people because the Roland there is very expensive. But you are insisting that you develop in Bacoor. Oo. Kaya affordable yung Naik. I think the land there is less expensive. Oo. Kasi it's a matter of cost. Oo. But they really like to do it in Bacoor. And I think the Roland in Bacoor is very expensive for this kind of housing. That's why I'm asking, what is the model of the Socialized Housing Finance Corporation? Kasi the name is Socialized Housing. So it
Yes,
should
Mr.
be
President.
cheap. Oh.
Yes, Mr. President. Apparently, Mr. President, tama po talaga, kino-confirm pati nung resource persons natin galing sa DSUD family, talagang ongoing problem ito, pero may ongoing din na attempt to solve the problem. Apparently, there was already the possibility supported by SHAFC na mag-substitute ng beneficiaries, pero syempre, sila yung mag-a-assume ng loan. Tapos yung Homeowners Association ay dapat babalikat ng responsibilidad na maghanap ng lupa, tutulungan din sila ng SHAFC. And in fact, the NGO na binanggit ay kasama dun sa paghanap ng solusyon. But the best I can report to the gentle lady from Las Piñas as of tonight, Mr. President, ay ongoing pa yung itong problem-solving process na ito or yung negosasyong ito. And so this representation is very open to listen dun sa proposed solution or suggestion na sinasabi ng gentle lady from Las Piñas para po sa konsiderasyon ng mga stakeholders dun sa mga areang iyon. The HOA and the SHAFC itself at yung NGO na tumutulong sa pagresolba ng problema.
You know, when you do a socialized housing project, the amount that this ISF can afford is very limited. Oo. Kaya natin, kasi kung talaga may pambayad sila to a 900,000 house with a complete with down payment and very high, what do you call this, amortization, they will buy from the private sector. Kaya nga tayo may socialized housing. This is for the poor. Oh, hindi ito pwede sa mamahaling bahay kasi wala naman tong ibibigay. Yun nga lumilipad sa amin sa NHA. Wala nang down payment, 300 pesos ang hulog. Humihingi pa sa amin ng pamabaon papunta dun sa naik. Hindi sila lilipat unless bibigyan mo silang minimum na 20,000 pesos para daw sila magpanggastos para lumipat sila doon. Kaya kami, nagpapaluwal pa kami ng 20,000 per family para lang mapilit naming lumipat doon sa ang ganda-gandang bahay sa NHA, sa Naik. And Naik is just 30 minutes away from Las Piñas. That's our difficulty. And minsan, yung binibigay sa amin ng NHA is not enough. Kasi madaming talagang ISF along the river. So I am always looking at SHAPC to provide additional housing. Kaya lang, ang problema ng SHAPC, hindi affordable yung model nila. Kaya tinatanong ko sa inyo, ano ba yung mandate ng SHAPC? Are they supposed to do what the private companies are doing na mahalang bahay, mahalang hulog, mahalang down payment? Or they're supposed to help the poor to have an opportunity for housing na mura ang hulog, hopefully walang down payment, at saka yung nakakausap mo ng maayos katulad ng NHA. Kaya yun lang ang question ko. Bakit
Opo, Mr.
gano'n ang
President.
Shopsy? Oo. Kasi
Apa-
yung pangalan niya, Socialized Housing Finance Corporation, they're supposed to give houses na mura sa mga informal settlers natin para may paglipatan kami ng mga informal settlers along the easement of the river. Kasi pag hindi natin sila inalis doon, walang pag-asa yung river natin na luminis. I'm sure Senator Drilon has the same experience in Iloilo when he's cleaning the river of Iloilo, di ba?
Mr. President, I think the minority leader is raising his hand to interject.
The minority leader is recognized.
We cannot hear you, Senator Drilon.
Sorry, ma'am. Yes. Yes, thank you, ma'am, for this opportunity to share what we did. When we cleaned up the river, there were 1,000 ISFs. I knew it was a problem how to convince them to pay for the houses. So what I did, ma'am, I had an insertion in the budget to build the houses and then gave it to the ISF on a perpetual lease. We did not transfer the titles to them, but we allowed them to stay in a government housing. So they had a perpetual, we call it in law, ma'am, a perpetual usufruct. As long as they are the ones using it, they will not pay anything. So I guess.
So they did not pay anything.
No, ma'am. Because they cannot afford it, as you said. Nasa tabi ng ilog yun, talagang wala pong hanap buhay. O kung pambayaran niyo po sila, hindi sila alis doon sa ilog kasi wala silang pambayad.
Kaya nga yun ang sinasabi ko. Sabi ng Shopsy, ang mandate daw nila, bigyan ng housing yung mga nakatira along the ilog ng Metro Manila. So tinatanong ko, ano? Oo, kasi gusto ko ring additional housing kasi oftentimes yung NHA has no enough housing to give us. Napakarami. Kung bigyan kami siguro 200, ganon. I'm looking forward to Shopsy na magbigay din sila ng bahay. Para dalawang agency ang nagbibigay ng bahay. Oo. Para sa amin naman po, they own the houses but they pay amortization na maliit. Sabi ko nga 300. Oo. Kasi that's one way of convincing them to leave their houses, that they will have their own house na kanila lupa na maliit lang ang hulog. Kasi otherwise, pag hindi ganon, hindi sila aalis.
Tama po
Hindi
yan,
sila aalis. Oo.
Kaya-
So kami nga, nagpapabaon pa kami ng 20,000, nire-raise namin para may ipabaon kami para pumayag lang na lumipat ng bahay. Tapos dadating tong Shopsy, 900,000 daw ang bahay, magda-down daw ng 250,000 at maghuhulog ng 2.5 a month. Sinong ISF ang makaka-afford noon? At hindi sila papayag ng ganong kamahal. I tell you. Kaya tinatanong ko, ano ba yung mandate ng Shopsy? Bakit sila gumagawa ng package na ganon? When in fact, they should be helping the poor people to enable them to own their own houses. Kaya yun ang tinatanong ko po, Miss Chairman, para sagutin ng ating housing agency. Oo.
Yes, Mr. President.
True.
Nawala.
An example of a best practice sa ating housing and urban development program sa Pilipinas. And apparently, yung sitwasyon sa Las Piñas ay exceptional case po.
No, it's not an exceptional
sa mga
case.
area
It's
na
the case of
kumukilos ang
everyone in
Shopsy.
Metro Manila.
Well,
Don't tell
since
me
we
that
are talking-
it's not an exceptional case. I have been doing this I'm trying to do this with them for the last 2 years. And I have done it with NHA, but hindi ko magagawa sa Shopsy.
Yes, Mr. President. That was the point of this representation earlier nung sinabi ko na sa kasong ito, na for the record, batid po ng SHAPSI yung affordability issue. So they are very aware na yan ang isang prime issue dito. Ongoing po yung problem solving process nito. In fact, ang staff po ng SHAPSI ay in touch sa staff nung gentle lady from Las Piñas at pilit po silang naghahanap, nagde-design, nag-e-explore ng solusyon. And I'm hopeful, Mr. President, that a solution can be forthcoming dahil nga, as I mentioned earlier, in fairness sa gentle lady from Las Piñas, ilang budget interpellation na rin natin sinusubukang klaruhin ang sitwasyon doon to her satisfaction. So I hope that the gentle lady from Las Piñas will be able to continue to keep faith with the SHAFC and the DSUD na talagang nakatutok sila sa hindi lang pagklaro ng sitwasyon dyan sa Las Piñas, pero paghanap talaga ng solusyon na mai-implement doon, Mr. President.
Mr. President, I think they have the wrong model. That's why they cannot succeed. Kasi nung previous year, kaya yan sinasabi sa akin na to deal with them, nung previous year, I'm trying to find a way na makapaglipat ako ng mga ISF doon. Sabi nila, kasi may bumili na noon, I have to pay yung parang patutubuin ko yung bumili na nung bahay. Parang lang ako, yung parang, tawag doon, yung parang transfer of rights ako. So we have to pay, parang sinabi sa akin 40,000 para mabigyan ako ng privilege na makakuha ng bahay doon for my ISF.
Mr. President.
Magbabayad ako ng transfer of rights para makakuha ng privilege na makakuha sa project nila. The additional down payment yun.
Mr. President, gentle lady from Las Piñas, the top management of SHAFC present with the Senate tonight ay nagko-commit po na i-engage directly ang gentle lady from Las Piñas to once and for all, after a few years of discussing this sa interpellation ng budget ng DSUD, once and for all makahanap talaga ng mutually acceptable at saka implementable na solusyon. I hope that that would be satisfactory to the gentle lady from Las Piñas. Yung commitment pong iyon ng SHAFC top management as conveyed to me by the good secretary of the DSUD.
I hope the chairman of this defending this budget of SHAPC will commit to me that this SHAPC will honor their word, because I have been talking to them for the last 2 years. We are not getting anywhere. So I hope that you are committed to force them to do a project that is affordable to the poor people who are living along the river, because I don't think their project now is something that is affordable to the real poor people along the river. Kasi ako, I have been doing this for a long time, and I know what is affordable and what is not affordable. And their project is not affordable to the poor people. So you agree with me that SHAPC is just like NHA. They will build project that will help the poor have a chance to have their own homes. And it's not there to make money and earn money from this housing project, because you are a government institution. You're supposed to help the poor be able, because if you are targeting the middle class, they can afford to pay. That's why we're helping the poor, because they cannot afford these expensive houses. They can just afford the cheaper houses. So your model should be that it is affordable to the poor people.
I agree, Mr. President. And again, for the record, nagko-commit ang representation na ito to monitor and to support yung final problem-solving process between the SHAFC top management at yung gentle lady from Las Piñas. Ni hindi ko sila kailangan pilitin. Sila na po yung nag-offer sa akin dito through the secretary himself. Nagbigay ng ganoon pong commitment. And dun sa
I
problem-solving
wish to
process na
inform the
yun,
gentle lady that they said the same thing last year, and they came to me and said that they have a project, except their project is worth 900,000 per house, and I have to do a down payment of 250,000 and make an amortization of 2.5. Is that really exerting their effort to afford houses to the poor people? That's impossible.
well, ang iba naman po this year, Mr. President, kaya ako umaasa na mayroong solusyong magagawa ay mismong yung
Okay.
secretary na ang nagsabi na yung SHAFC top management will really apply themselves to arriving at a solution with the gentle lady from Las Piñas. And in fact, merong akong dagdag na suggestion for their consideration sa kanilang problem-solving process kaugnay nung non-ownership mode. May isang modelo kaninang sinabi si Minority Leader, si Sen Frank sa Iloilo. Another possibility, no? Baka public rental housing ang solusyon kung within Bacoor or nearby site. Baka ito ang solusyon. At in fact, may actually existing model ito, Mr. President, yung Disiplina Village sa Valenzuela City na alam at pinamunuan ng ating colleague si Sen Sherwin.
Because the public housing project of Senator Drilon is free.
Yes,
Now,
Mr.
how
President.
much is the public housing project in Valenzuela? How much do you pay in the public housing of Valenzuela? Kasi it's a matter of
300 pesos
knowing
per month,
how
Mr.
much you
President.
will pay as down payment and how much rental you will pay. So, how much is the rental in the public housing in Valenzuela?
300.
That's better.
Yes, walang down payment, Mr. President,
Oh,
at
that's
300
better.
pesos per month. So very viable na pag-usapan as one of a menu of possible solutions sa pagitan ng SHAFC top management as monitored by the Secretary and the gentle lady from Las Piñas, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, and I hope that
Maraming salamat din po.
we will not have the same problem again next year.
We better not,
Although
Mr.
we will
President.
have a
Yes.
new management of the agency next year. Okay.
Well, that's always a possibility with a new administration, Mr. President, gentle lady from Las Piñas.
Thank you very
Salamat po.
much.
Maraming salamat din po.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Hahabol daw si Senator Tolentino, Mr. President.
Oh,
Oh. Oh. Kala ko. Okay. Nandyan ba? Online siya or is ko
there's no signal.
Oh, wala na signal. Hindi pala nakakonect. Hindi nakakonect. Shall we give him a good 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute? Sinisan lang yun eh.
Well,
Test na lang siya.
just the unsolicited advice to our sponsors. You know, when you're asked questions and there are suggestions, you just say yes.
Yes, Mr. President.
Maybe ask for 1 minute suspension.
Session suspended.
Masyado mahaba. Thank you, Mr. President. We recognize Senator Tolentino, Mr. President.
Senator Francis Tolentino is recognized.
We can't hear you, sir. Are you on mute?
Wala signal.
Parang hindi tayo marinig,
Parang
Madjo.
hindi natin marinig.
Opo.
Oo.
San Francis, hindi po tayo marinig, Mr. President.
It's a sign.
I know. Yep. Yes, thank you.
Senator Francis, do you have your mic? The mic?
Baka nakababa ang ano niya. Volume.
San Francis, hindi namin kayo marinig.
We can see you, sir, but we cannot hear you.
No, he cannot hear us because his volume is low.
Can you hear us, sir? Senator Francis, can you hear us?
Oops.
Yung internet, nasa Tagaytay siguro, sa
Wala kasi signal.
hideaway niya. Rest house niya.
Oh.
Senator, you wanna call him? May number ka niya? Call him. May bago yata.
Or Madjo, kahit audio lang nila, kahit walang video. Wala. Hindi. Madjo, baka pwede na lang sila magtanong via audio kahit walang video?
Yeah, I'm actually trying to call him now. Mr. President, maybe he asked for just another minute.
Or maybe he can send his questions through text.
Yes, possibly, Mr. President, because we're delaying the proceedings. Maybe if it's
Yes.
okay with the good senator. He has bad signal. I think he went to isolate himself na in his parang rest house. Malayo. Kaya yung signal masama. So, I believe our staff was talking to his staff. Can we just ask if he can send the questions around to the proponent? Anyway, we will still have the period of amendment. He can still propose amendments on the budget of the Department of Settlements and Urban Development.
And back here, Mr. President, the Secretary is committing to answer the questions that San Francis may send.
Nakausap mo? Staff na yan. Hindi, si Amy yan. Wala na. I-dispose na namin to.
Text na lang niya yung mga question.
Oo. Yes. We will take the suggestion of the Senate President with due apologies to our colleague Senator Tolentino. These things do really happen. He was here earlier, Mr. President, but when he found out we were all exposed, he decided to quarantine early. So with apologies, Mr. President, to Senator Tolentino, nawala na tuloy siya. Talagang nawala na. May inang signal. Sige po. with
Mr.
that,
President, if I may,
Yes, Senator.
thank you,
Sabi
Mr.
ako.
Leader. I just received some information that San Francis had wanted to make a manifestation about a proposed amendment by way of additional funding for the department. And this representation is really looking forward to that, Mr. President, for the record.
Perfect.
Yes, Mr.
That's
President.
wonderful. It is a supportive manifestation, pala, Mr. President. With that, I move that the budget. Yes.
President, I'm sorry, if I may just make a quick closing remark
Sure.
for on the budget for the DSUD. I've always looked forward to the actions of the new department that would deepen partnerships with the urban poor, with local governments, with the private housing construction sector, and even with the commercial banking sector. When I first heard of the 6 million housing backlog years ago, I thought that the challenges are so immeasurably large compared to what our key shelter agencies had shown themselves capable of doing before. We've been in a housing emergency for many years now, and we need to look towards radically revising our housing business models and recruiting partners as force multipliers. I take particular interest, for example, in the ideas of our Senate President pro tempore, Senator Ralph, who expressed in previous hearings, previous budget seasons, the importance of pag-ibig as a key shelter agency. I agree with him that if home buyers like our teachers and our AFP and PNP personnel can get financing through their membership in pag-ibig, then we can merely convey the subsidies directly to the home buyers so that these first-time home buyers can become viable and bankable sooner than later in the eyes of private developers and from the point of view of pag-ibig and commercial banks that lend for housing. There's a deep affinity between Sen Ralph's ideas and those that I've also been taking up with the DOTR, Pag-ibig, and DSUD. The opportunity to try out new ways of doing things and formalizing new rules and new roles might also be found in the modes of implementing resettlement of persons affected by government's build projects, in which I've proposed a special provision for the third year now that would convey housing subsidies direct to the individual accounts of project affected persons who are also Pag-ibig members, so that the loan that they would need to take out for their new homes would be smaller and would be something that they can afford. I'm told, by the way, Mr. President, that the prototype IRRs for this new approach were to be finished by the third quarter, and I'm eager to share these with our housing chair, Senator Francis, as well. So with this, Mr. President, I thank my chair, Sen. Sonny Angara, and my colleagues. I look forward to continue working with you all so we can make even more progress in addressing the country's urban development and housing challenges. Magandang gabi po, Mr. President, at sa DSUD family.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. With that, I move that the budget of the Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development, Office of the Secretary, Human Settlements Adjudication Commission, the DHSUD Home Mortgage Finance Corporation, National Housing Authority, and Social Housing Finance Corporation be deemed submitted. Congratulations.
Any objection? Hearing none, the budget is deemed submitted.
Salamat po, Mr. President, Majority Leader.
Thank you, Secretaries. Kaway-kaway na lang po kami, Secretary. Bye-bye, congratulations. Mr. President, I move that we take up finally just for tonight, since they're here, they requested if they can be taken up as well, the budget of the Commission on Elections, Mr. President. I so.
The budget of the.
Commission on Elections, the
All
last
right.
budget.
Any objection? Hearing none, budget of COMELEC.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. We ask for 1 minute suspension to allow them to come in and take over the seats.
Session suspended.
Continue, President. is the Commission on Elections. May we recognize Senator Risa Ontiveros for opening statement, then after which we'll recognize our distinguished Senate President Soto.
We recognize the good sponsor, Senator Risa Ontiveros.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm once again pleased to sponsor the budget of the Commission on Elections, the government institution tasked to oversee the conduct of free, orderly, fair, and clean democratic exercise of electing our leaders. For 2022, the year we hold the presidential and local elections, the committee recommends to give the agency 26,945,747,000 pesos in budget, which is 448.058 million higher than what is proposed in the General Appropriations Bill. This committee's proposed increase aims to further COVID-proof the elections and is aimed to be spent as follows: 195.408 million honoraria for additional personnel, voters' assistance in the top 10 vote-rich provinces to assist during election day, 52 million pesos for information dissemination campaigns in all provinces, and 200 million pesos for COVID-19 supplies and materials. We're confident that with the support given to COMELEC and the assurance from its leadership made during our committee hearing, it will have the needed resources to faithfully discharge its solemn duty to administer and safeguard next year's very important electoral exercise. Having said that, and with the presence in our hall of the good Commissioner Federlino, this representation is now ready to respond to questions about the budget of the agency.
To interpolate, we recognize the Senate President Tito Soto.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will the distinguished lady from Antique, no?
Copies and Aklan, Mr.
Copy in
President.
a plan, yeah. Answer, well, it's probably just one question. I will try to make some sort of a manifestation, then just one question on what COMELEC will plan to do. on
It would be
this
an honor,
particular
Mr.
concern of mine.
President.
Will you?
An honor.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. As well, at the outset, allow me to place into the records the fact that we have always had high regard for COMELEC and the commissioners. They have been scrutinized well by the commission on appointments, which we had. Now, there is just one particular issue that has bothered some of us in the last 2 or 3 elections. Well, during the automation already, and especially in the last 2019 and 2016 elections. This is the resolution of COMELEC, of resolution number 9991, dated October 2, 2015. We would like to know the basis of the COMELEC in requiring candidates to submit so many copies of receipts of expenses and contributions. These are truckloads of copies of receipts of expenses and receipts, contribution, submitted by the national candidates, the president, vice president, the senators, after election. When the law that we passed, the synchronized election law, and I please pay particular attention to Section 13 of Republic Act 7166. The law merely states, I quote, itemized statement of all contributions and expenditures. Yun ano? So the law does not require the submission of the receipts, because under Section 106 of the Omnibus Election Code, the candidate and treasurer shall, quote, preserve the records of contributions and expenditures together with all pertinent documents for at least 3 years after the election for their production for inspection by the COMELEC. In other words, pag may question, at saka hihingin. Hindi kailangan lahat ng mga resibo ay kailangan submit. So again, there is nothing in the law which requires the candidates to submit copies of the receipts, whether scanned copy or Xerox copies. Mere itemized expenses and contribution is required by the law that we passed. So now, under the COMELEC resolution, ang sinasabi, 3 hard copies of supporting documents such as contribution receipts, expenditures, and then these are required to be submitted in both hard and soft copies, electronic forms, with the electronic soft copy of PDF file format, so and so. So, I cannot see the basis of the COMELEC in requiring these voluminous documents when it is clear in the law that you can keep it. An itemized presentation is enough. And if the COMELEC would want to question you, then you present these receipts. No? Palagi ko makakabawas din sa problema ng COMELEC ito, pati sa tambak-tambak na problema natin. Because this time of the pandemic, personal filing is not allowed in COMELEC, if I'm not mistaken. And so it requires that all these voluminous or several thousands of documents be emailed to the COMELEC. Baka lalong mag-clag, So, may the COMELEC promulgate new rules to this effect, so that we do not go beyond the law, which it is implementing. The COMELEC, of course, I know would probably have seen gaps in the law, but it does not allow COMELEC to supply the gaps. So please, may we have a response from the Commission on Elections?
Yes, Mr. President. This representation understands the concern being pointed out by the good Senate President that indeed the COMELEC resolution seems to be asking more in excess of the law of the candidates. So could I please know, I will find out, Mr. President, if indeed the COMELEC would be willing to issue new rules that are more in consonance with the law. Regarding COMELEC Resolution 9991, I hear it from Commissioner Ferolino that COMELEC can indeed revisit this resolution. And this representation would like to request the commitment of the COMELEC through the good commissioner to indeed already respond to the concern being raised on the floor by the Senate President. Since the commission can revisit, could you please revisit this resolution?
Yes,
Mr.
please.
President, the COMELEC commits to do so.
Thank you for that. I hope they can take a second look on paragraph 2, section 8 of their resolution. So with that, I wish to thank you. And as I said, we have always had high regard for COMELEC and its commissioners. So we expect this to be handled by the commission at the soonest possible time. Thank you, Your Honor, and thank you very much to the Commission on Elections.
Marami pong salamat, Mr. President, to the good Senate President.
Wala na raw. No.
Salamat po.
Manifestation. Mr. President, next to propound some questions, supposed to be Senator Pangilinan, but he agreed that he will no longer ask questions and he will just submit a list of questions to the sponsor if the COMELEC will be able to reply officially na lang to him.
Thank you, Mr. President. This representation will see to it that we receive the responses of the COMELEC soonest.
About Senator Pimentel? Senator Pimentel, absent, Dave, wala. Well, also listed is Senator Aquilino Coco Pimentel, but fortunately he's not online. And although he knew naman meron po tayong budget ano na yun, maybe it could be the same. We could submit to the sponsor the questions that you would like to ask for the.
Yes, please, Mr. President.
Yeah.
They would only further enrich
I just
the
wanted to
final
put it on
budget you
record that
have.
it's also listed to ask questions.
Quarantine na kayo.
Yes, Mr. President.
Yeah, so with that, Mr. President, I move that the budget of the Commission on Elections be deemed submitted. So moved, Mr. President.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the budget of the Commission on Elections is hereby submitted.
Salamat po, Mr.
Congratulations
President.
to the COMELEC.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Ask for 1 minute suspension.
Session suspended.
Just a reminder to everyone, we have no sessions tomorrow. Unfortunately, we have to close shop. The Secretariat will sanitize the premises, and also all those who were exposed here in plenary yesterday are encouraged to stay home and isolate. And after the 5 days, be tested, of course, with the Senate doctors, and to be sure that we have no positive, hopefully no positive results, so that we may continue with the budget on Monday. So a reminder to all our sponsors, the subcommittee chairs, that we will be taking up the budgets that were not taken up today on Monday. That's Department of Transportation, together with the Presidential Communications Operations Office, and of course, all that are lined up for Monday's deliberation. Earlier, Secretary Tugade was here the whole day, morning till the evening, had requested, he made mention rather, that he couldn't make it on Monday and asked permission from the Senate President. So, yes, the Senate President said that it was all right, Mr. President,
All right.
that he doesn't come anymore.
Right then.
May we recognize, before we suspend, may we recognize a distinguished colleague from Aurora, our Finance Chair, Senator Sonny Angara.
We recognize Senator Angara.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, distinguished majority leader, dear colleagues. Could we request of our colleagues, even if we push the schedule forward, if we could request all our colleagues to submit their amendments by Tuesday, November 23, if possible, Mr. President?
So that's an announcement for our colleagues. Tuesday, November
23.
all the individual amendments or advocacies, Mr. President, be submitted by then. May we ask I'll ask the chair, the staff of the Committee on Rules to get in touch with all the COS, Chief of Staff.
Thank you, majority leader. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. So with that, Mr. President, thank you everyone for being patient and working very hard to the wee hours of the night, every night. Particularly the Senate Secretariat, Secretary Villarica, together with the Sergeant at Arms, all our LBRMO, our pages, and the journal, and everyone, media, and staff covering the PRIB for these 2 weeks. Fortunately, we still have work on Monday, but hopefully on Monday will be our last day. So, yeah.
Hindi ako kasali dyan, ah.
Senator Sherwin, sama natin.
Hindi ako
Senator Sherwin.
kasali dyan.
With that, Mr. President, I move to suspend session until 10 o'clock, Monday morning, November 22, 2021. I so.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, session suspended until 10 o'clock in the morning of Monday, November 22, 2021.